Before we dive in, let's be crystal clear. This video provides educational information based on extensive research and experience, but it is not a guarantee of any specific LSAT score. Your success ultimately depends on your own effort, study habits, and application of the material. I wasted $1,499 on the wrong LSAT prep course. It was a top-rated course, one of the big names you see advertised everywhere. And after 2 months of studying my heart out, my practice score went down. That's right, I actually got worse. It felt like I was drowning in a sea of logic games and conditional reasoning, and the expensive life raft I'd bought was full of holes. That failure, that sunk cost of $1,500 and hundreds of hours, was devastating. But it also forced me to become obsessed. I needed to understand why it failed. It wasn't until I uncovered the 3 fundamental pillars of choosing a prep course, something none of the marketing materials ever talk about, that I finally found the right system for me, and my score skyrocketed past the 170 mark. Today, I'm giving you that entire system. This isn't just another review video where I read you a list of features from a company's website. This is the definitive guide to save you from the exact same costly mistake I made. We are going to cut through all the marketing fluff, the 99th percentile instructor promises, and the confusing score increase guarantees that often have more fine print than a phone contract. By the end of this video, you will have a rock-solid, personalized framework to choose the absolute best LSAT prep course for you. Not for your friend, not for some anonymous person on a forum, but for your unique brain, your budget, and your dream law school. You will walk away from this with the clarity and confidence to invest your hard-earned money and precious time wisely, knowing you're on the fastest path to your goal score. The problem is, when you Google best LSAT prep course, you're hit with an avalanche of options. It's overwhelming. You've got 7 Sage, Blueprint, LSAT Demon, Kaplan, the Princeton Review, PowerScore, LSAT Max. The list goes on and on. They all claim to have the secret sauce. They all flash impressive numbers and glowing testimonials. And they all seem to cost a small fortune. It's designed to be confusing. They prey on your anxiety, the intense pressure you feel to score high and get into a top law school. They want you to feel like if you just spend enough money, you can buy a high score. And that is the single biggest lie in the entire test prep industry. The most expensive course is not always the best course. In fact, for many people, it's the absolute worst choice. The best course is the one that aligns perfectly with your specific learning style. A mismatch here is catastrophic. It's like trying to learn to swim from a book when you're a hands-on learner who needs to be in the water. It doesn't matter how well written the book is. You're not going to learn effectively. My first $1,500 course was that book. It was a series of long, dense video lectures. The instructor was brilliant, no doubt. But I'm a kinesthetic learner. I learn by doing, by trial and error, by actively solving problems and getting immediate feedback. Sitting passively and watching a 2-hour lecture on necessary and sufficient conditions was the equivalent of pouring knowledge onto a brick wall. Just wasn't sinking in. So, the first and most important pillar of our framework is to deeply understand your own learning profile. Before you even look at a single course website, you need to perform a diagnostic on yourself. Are you a visual learner? Do you thrive with diagrams, color-coded notes, and animated explanations of complex logic games? If so, a course that is heavy on text-based PDFs and has dry, static videos is going to be a nightmare for you. You need to be looking for features like interactive video, whiteboard-style explanations, and a visually appealing interface. Blueprint, for example, is famous for its high production value, cartoon-style videos that are incredibly effective for visual learners. Or are you an auditory learner? Do you learn best by listening? Maybe you absorb information from podcasts and lectures easily. For you, the quality of the verbal instruction is paramount. A charismatic, clear, and engaging instructor can make all the difference. You might want a course that offers live online classes where you can listen and ask questions in real time, or one with audio-only lessons you can listen to during your commute. The PowerScore LSAT podcast and their live courses are often a great fit for auditory learners because their instructors are masters at verbal explanation. Then there's my category, the kinesthetic or learn-by-doing learner. We are the ones who need to get our hands dirty. We don't want to be told how to solve a logic game. We want to try it, fail, understand why we failed, and then try it again. For us, the single most important feature of a prep course is the problem drilling functionality. We need a massive bank of real licensed LSAT questions. We need software that allows us to create custom problem sets, targeting our specific weaknesses. And most importantly, we need instant, detailed explanations for every single answer choice, not just the correct one. This is where platforms like 7Sage and LSAT Demon absolutely shine. Their entire philosophy is built around this concept of active drilling. They give you the tools and then say, go, do the work. We'll be here to explain every mistake you make along the way. And finally, are you a solitary learner or a social learner? Do you do your best work locked in a quiet room with just you and the material? Or do you thrive on collaboration, discussion, and a sense of community? If you're a solitary studier, a self-paced online course is probably your ideal environment. You control the schedule, you set the pace, and you don't have to deal with anyone else. But if you're a social learner, that same self-paced course can feel incredibly isolating and demotivating. You might need the structure and accountability of a live class, with a real instructor and fellow students to connect with. You might benefit from study groups, online forums, and a sense of shared struggle and success. Many programs offer these community features, but you have to specifically look for them. So, right now, before we go any further, I want you to pause and seriously think about this. How have you learned best in the past? In college, in high school, in any skill you've ever acquired? Be brutally honest with yourself. Understanding your learning profile is the foundation. It's the compass that will guide you through the confusing jungle of LSAT prep options. Getting this right is more important than the brand name of the course, the score of the instructor, or the price tag. Because a $10,000 private tutor is worthless if they can't teach in a way that your brain can actually absorb. Once you know how you learn, you've already eliminated more than half of the courses on the market, because you can immediately identify which ones are fundamentally incompatible with your brain's wiring. This single insight is what turned my own studying around, and it's the key to making sure you don't waste a single second, or a single dollar, on your journey to a life-changing LSAT score. So let's start by mapping out that wiring. Most LSAT students, and by extension most LSAT prep courses, fall into one of two major camps. And getting this wrong is like trying to run marathon software on Sprinter hardware. It's a recipe for disaster. The first type of learner is the architect. The architect is someone who needs the blueprint before they start building. They need to understand the entire system, the entire theory from the top down, before they feel comfortable executing the individual steps. If you give an architect a piece of IKEA furniture, they will read the entire instruction manual, front to back, and identify every single screw and dowel before they even think about picking up a tool. They find comfort in structure, in systems, in understanding the why behind everything. When they approach the LSAT, they don't just want to know the right answer to a specific question. They want to know the fundamental theory of conditional logic that governs that type of question. They want to understand why a flaw question is structured the way it is and how it relates to the entire family of logical fallacies. For an architect, learning is about building a strong, unshakable foundation of knowledge first, and then applying it. A course that just throws them into 1,000 practice problems feels like chaos, feels like guessing. They'll look at a correct answer explanation and think, okay, I see why that's right for this question, but I have zero confidence I could do it again on the next one. They are missing the blueprint. Their brain craves the system, the grand unified theory of the LSAT, before it can operate at peak performance. Then you have the second type of learner, the explorer. The explorer learns by doing. They learn by tinkering, by experimenting, by jumping into the deep end and figuring out how to swim. If you give an explorer that same piece of IKEA furniture, they'll dump all the pieces on the floor, glance at the picture on the box, and start putting it together through trial and error. Reading the manual first feels like a colossal waste of time. They'd rather build it wrong 3 times and learn from their mistakes than spend 20 minutes reading theory. They build intuition through repetition. For an explorer, learning is an iterative bottom-up process. They want to get their hands dirty with real LSAT questions immediately. They want to see hundreds of examples and let their brain naturally start to recognize the patterns. A course that forces them to sit through hours and hours of abstract theory videos before they can even attempt a problem is pure torture. They'll get bored, they'll get frustrated, and they'll lose all motivation. The explorer's mantra is show me, don't tell me. They need a massive bank of questions, adaptive drills that target their weaknesses, and instant, concise feedback on what they did wrong, so they can jump right into the next problem and apply that lesson. Now, take a second and be brutally honest with yourself. Which one are you? Do you feel a deep sense of anxiety when you don't understand the complete framework behind what you're doing? Or do you feel an overwhelming sense of boredom and impatience when you're forced to learn theory instead of just doing? There is no right or wrong answer. You can't change your wiring. An architect is not better than an explorer or vice versa. They are simply different operating systems. But using a prep course designed for the opposite learning style is the single fastest way to guarantee failure. It's why you see people on forums saying, "This course is amazing. It raised my score 15 points." And someone else replying, "That course was a complete waste of money. I learned nothing." They're both right. They just had a fundamental mismatch between their learning style and the course's teaching philosophy. I was a classic architect. My first time studying, I used a program that was very explorer-focused. It was all about drill, drill, drill. And my score stagnated for months. I felt like I was spinning my wheels, just memorizing individual questions instead of learning the actual skills. It was only when I switched to a systematic, theory-first approach that everything clicked. I finally got the blueprint I needed, and my score skyrocketed. For my friend, it was the exact opposite. He started with a dense, theory-heavy course and was about to give up entirely. He switched to a drill-based platform, and within 2 months he was scoring in the high 170s. We needed different tools for the job, but it gets a little more complex because there's another axis to consider. This is about how you process information. Are you a macro thinker or a micro thinker? A macro thinker is the strategist. They are obsessed with the big picture. For them, the LSAT isn't just a series of individual questions. It's a game of resource management. They're constantly thinking about pacing, timing, and overall strategy. When should I skip a hard logic game and come back to it? What is the most efficient way to read a reading comprehension passage to extract the main point? How do I manage my last 2 minutes in a logical reasoning section? They need a course that emphasizes high-level strategy, time management techniques, and section-wide approaches. They want to know how all the pieces fit together to form a successful test-taking experience. A course that only focuses on the nitty-gritty of individual questions will leave them feeling unprepared for the real battle of test day. On the other end of that spectrum is the micro-thinker, the technician. The technician is obsessed with precision and detail. They believe that winning the war is about winning every single tiny battle. When they review a question, they aren't satisfied with just knowing the right answer. They need to know with absolute certainty why every single word in the 4 wrong answer choices makes it incorrect. They will spend 10 minutes dissecting a single stimulus to understand the subtle nuance between most and some. They want to master the mechanics of a flaw question at a granular level. They need a course that provides incredibly detailed, almost surgical explanations for every single question. They crave that deep dive into the weeds. A course that gives them generic, high-level strategic advice without the detailed mechanics feels shallow and unhelpful. They want to build a perfect machine, one flawless component at a time. Now you can start to see how these identities combine to create a unique learning profile. You might be an architect strategist, someone who needs a complete, systematic overview of the test and a high-level game plan for execution. You need a course that teaches the theory from the ground up, and then shows you how to apply it under timed pressure with sophisticated pacing strategies. Or you could be an explorer technician, someone who wants to learn by doing thousands of problems and demands incredibly detailed, granular explanations for every single one to refine their technique. You can be an architect technician or an explorer strategist. Each of these profiles requires a radically different type of prep course to succeed. An architect strategist will be suffocated by a course built for an explorer technician, which they would perceive as a chaotic barrage of disconnected details. An explorer technician would be bored to tears by the architect strategist's course, which they would see as a bunch of abstract fluff with no practical application. This is the code. This is the framework that you have to understand before you spend a single dollar. Because the marketing for these courses will never tell you this. They will all promise you the world. They will all show you testimonials from students who got a 180, but they will never tell you who their course is actually designed for. They will never say, "Hey, if you're an explorer who learns by doing, our 40 hours of dense theory videos will probably make you quit." They will never say, "If you're an architect who needs structure, our just drill approach is going to leave you feeling lost and confused." They sell a one-size-fits-all solution in a world where one size fits almost no one. So the critical question becomes, how do you identify a course's true DNA? How do you look past the slick marketing and see who it's really built for? How can you tell if a course is designed for an architect or an explorer, a strategist or a technician? That's where we're going next. We're going to take this framework and turn it into a practical diagnostic tool. I'm going to give you the specific green lights and red flags to look for on their websites, in their free trials, and in their sample materials. We will start dissecting the biggest names in the LSAT prep industry, from 7 Sage to the LSAT Demon, from Blueprint to PowerScore, and we will map their methods onto this framework so you can see with perfect clarity which ones align with your brain, and which ones are secretly your worst enemy. So let's build that framework. The entire LSAT prep universe can be mapped onto two simple axes. Think of it like a political compass, but instead of authoritarian and libertarian, you have the philosophies that will either unlock your potential or hold you back. The first axis, the horizontal one, is your learning philosophy. On one side, you have the bottom-up approach. On the other, the top-down approach. A bottom-up approach is like building a skyscraper brick by brick. You start with the absolute fundamentals. You learn about conditional logic. You master what a sufficient assumption is. You drill 1,000 must-be-true questions until the patterns are burned into your brain. You don't even think about a full-time 35-minute section until you've mastered every single individual component that goes into it. The philosophy here is that a high score is the inevitable result of perfecting the fundamentals. You build a flawless foundation and the skyscraper builds itself. A top-down approach is the exact opposite. It's like being an architect. You start with the blueprint of the entire skyscraper. You look at the full 35-minute section from day one. You focus on the big picture: timing, strategy, endurance, and the overall feel of the test. The philosophy here is that the LSAT is a performance, not just a test of knowledge. You can know what every brick is, but if you don't know how to build the building under a time crunch, you'll fail. You learn by doing, by simulating the real thing, and then you go back and patch the specific holes in your foundation as they reveal themselves. That's the first axis, the bricklayer versus the architect. The second axis, the vertical one, is the teaching methodology. At the top, you have a prescriptive methodology. At the bottom, you have an adaptive methodology. A prescriptive methodology is like a traditional group fitness class. The instructor has a plan for the day, and everyone does the same workout. You do lesson 1, then lesson 2, then lesson 3 in order. The curriculum is fixed. It's been designed and optimized over years to work for the average student. It's predictable, structured, and comprehensive. The company has prescribed a path to success, and your job is to walk it. An adaptive methodology is like hiring an elite personal trainer. The trainer assesses your specific weaknesses and designs a workout just for you. Are your biceps weak? Okay, we're doing 3 extra sets of curls. Is your cardio lagging? We're adding sprints. In the LSAT world, this means the platform uses technology, algorithms, artificial intelligence, to analyze your performance in real time. It sees you're struggling with necessary assumption questions, so it feeds you more necessary assumption drills. It notices you're great at grouping games, so it lets you skip that lesson and move on to something more productive. The curriculum literally changes and adapts to you. So there it is. Our 4 quadrants. 1 bottom-up and prescriptive, 2 top-down and prescriptive, 3 bottom-up and adaptive, and 4 top-down and adaptive. Every major LSAT prep company lives primarily in one of these quadrants. Understanding which quadrant you belong in is the single most important decision you will make. So let's dive into the first one, the most traditional and, for a long time, the most dominant quadrant in LSAT prep: bottom-up and prescriptive. This is the world of the bricklayer who follows a strict, pre-written manual. The philosophy here is simple and powerful. The LSAT is a test of logic, and logic is a skill built on rules. If you learn all the rules, master all the question types, and drill every concept to perfection, you will get a high score. It's a systematic, almost academic approach. Who thrives in this quadrant? This approach is a godsend for students who are starting with a lower diagnostic score, say below a 155. If your foundation is shaky, you need to build one. You can't start with high-level strategy if you don't even know what a contrapositive is. This method ensures you have 0 gaps in your knowledge. It's also perfect for the student who craves structure and a clear path. If you're the type of person who gets overwhelmed by choice and just wants to be told, do this today, do that tomorrow, then the prescriptive nature of this quadrant will feel like a warm, comforting blanket. It removes the guesswork. You just have to trust the process and do the work. But who gets crushed by this quadrant? It can be a nightmare for students who are already scoring in the mid-160s or higher. Why? Because you're forced to slog through hours of lessons on concepts you already understand. The prescriptive, one-size-fits-all curriculum doesn't care that you're already a master of sufficient and necessary logic. You still have to watch the videos and do the homework for lesson 3. It can be incredibly inefficient and morale-destroying for high scorers who just need to fine-tune specific, niche weaknesses. It's also a bad fit for people who learn by doing. If you need to see the big picture to understand how the small pieces fit, this bricks first method will feel abstract and disconnected from the reality of the test. So, which companies live here? The undisputed kings of the bottom-up, prescriptive quadrant are PowerScore and the traditional courses from companies like Blueprint. Let's talk about PowerScore. Their LSAT Bibles are the literal definition of this approach. They have dissected the LSAT with surgical precision and created a taxonomy for everything. There aren't just assumption questions. There are sufficient assumption questions and necessary assumption questions, and they have completely different diagrams and methods. There aren't just logic games. There are basic linear, advanced linear, grouping, sequencing, and a dozen subtypes, each with its own specific setup and diagramming convention. Using PowerScore is like becoming a scholar of the LSAT. You learn their system, their language, their rules. Your job is not to innovate. Your job is to execute their meticulously crafted system. When you see a question, you don't just figure it out. You identify it, classify it, and deploy the specific PowerScore technique designed for that exact stimulus and question stem. For the student who wants that level of structure, it's brilliant. It turns a messy, intimidating test into a series of predictable, solvable problems. Blueprint's core curriculum operates in a similar fashion. While they've added more adaptive tools recently, their foundational course is a linear journey. You watch a highly entertaining video lesson on a specific topic, you do the assigned homework, and you move to the next module. It's incredibly polished and engaging, far more so than just reading a book, but the underlying philosophy is the same. It's a fixed path. They've laid out the yellow brick road, and your job is to follow it from the beginning to the end. They believe their road is the best road to the Emerald City, and for many students it is. So, how do you know if this quadrant is for you? Ask yourself these questions and be honest. Do you feel a sense of calm when you see a 300-page syllabus that maps out every day of your next 4 months? Do you believe that if you can just master every single question type in isolation, a high score will naturally follow? When you get a question wrong, is your first instinct to find out what type of question it was and what the rule is for solving it? Do you prefer a proven, time-tested system over a flexible, experimental one? If you're nodding your head, you might be a bottom-up, prescriptive learner. A course like PowerScore or the standard Blueprint path could be a perfect fit, providing the structure and foundational depth you need to build your score from the ground up, brick by painful, glorious brick. But what if that sounds like an academic prison to you? What if the idea of spending a week on a question type you already get 95% right on makes you want to quit before you even start? What if you believe the key isn't mastering every brick, but understanding the architectural plan of the entire test from the very beginning? That's where the top-down approach comes in, and for a very different type of student, it is a complete and total game changer. We're going to explore that world, the world of the architect, in the very next part. So let's meet the architect. If the bricklayer finds comfort in the methodical, step-by-step process of building a foundation, the architect finds it maddening. The architect's first question is never, "What's the first step?" It's, "What are we building?" They need to see the blueprint. They need to understand the grand design, the final structure, before they can find any meaning in laying a single brick. To an architect, drilling flaw questions for 3 days without ever having seen how they fit into a full-time logical reasoning section feels like being asked to paint a single window shutter without ever seeing the house it belongs to. It feels pointless, arbitrary, and deeply frustrating. This type of student thrives on context. They want to understand the why behind everything. Why is timing so critical on this test? Why are certain question types more common than others? They learn best by seeing the entire system in action and then deconstructing it. They don't want to learn the rules of chess by studying how the pawn moves for a week, then the knight, then the bishop. They want to watch a full game played by grandmasters, feel the flow and the tension, and then ask, okay, how did that piece move? And why did they move it there? For this student, the top-down approach isn't just an alternative. It's the only way to stay sane and motivated. This philosophy of LSAT prep starts in the exact opposite place as the bottom-up method. It begins with a full-time diagnostic LSAT. Day 1, you sit down for 3.5 hours and you take the entire test under real conditions. The goal isn't to get a good score. The goal is to experience the beast in its natural habitat. You feel the time pressure. You feel the mental fatigue setting in during the 3rd or 4th section. You see the sheer variety of questions and game types. You get a raw, unfiltered look at the entire challenge. For the architect, this is liberating. The test is no longer some abstract monster hiding in the closet. It's a known quantity. They've seen it. They've wrestled with it. And now the studying can begin with purpose. The initial score, whether it's a 145 or a 165, becomes the starting point on a map. The post-test analytics become the blueprint they were craving. They don't have to blindly trust a curriculum that starts with necessary assumption questions. They can look at their own results and see with their own eyes, wow, I missed 8 out of 10 necessary assumption questions. Okay, now I understand why we need to focus on this. Let's build this part of the foundation. This approach turns studying from a passive act of following instructions into an active process of diagnosis and treatment. Every drill, every chapter they read, has a clear and immediate purpose tied directly to a weakness they personally experienced on a real test. This creates a powerful feedback loop that is incredibly motivating for the architect personality. They take a test, they analyze the blueprint of their performance, they work on the specific weaknesses revealed in that blueprint, and then they take another test to see if their renovations were successful. It's a cycle of hypothesis, experiment, and analysis. However, this top-down approach is not without its own serious dangers, and if you're an architect, you have to be brutally honest with yourself about them. The first and most obvious danger is the potential for a massive psychological blow right at the beginning. Taking a cold diagnostic can be a humbling, even humiliating experience. If you're a high-achieving student used to getting A's, seeing a score of 142 pop up on the screen can feel like a punch to the gut. It can make you question if you're even cut out for law school. For some, this shock is a powerful motivator. For others, it's a reason to quit before they've even started. You have to have the mental fortitude to see that first score not as a judgment but simply as data. A line in the sand. Nothing more. The second, and arguably more insidious, danger is the risk of reinforcing bad habits. If your idea of a top-down approach is just to take practice test after practice test after practice test, you are setting yourself up for disaster. All you're doing is getting faster and more efficient at implementing your flawed strategies. You're practicing your mistakes. It's like trying to get better at golf by just hitting 1,000 balls with a terrible swing. You're not improving. You're just carving bad muscle memory into your brain. The top-down approach is not a license to skip the fundamentals. The practice tests are the diagnostic tool, not the cure. The cure is still the hard, focused work on the underlying skills, the same kind of work the bricklayer does. The only difference is the order and the motivation. So, what kind of prep course is built for the architect? You're looking for programs that are data-rich and analytics-driven. The absolute king of this domain is a platform like 7Sage. Its blind review method is the quintessential top-down philosophy, and its analytics suite is second to none. It allows an architect to slice and dice their performance data in countless ways, identifying with surgical precision exactly which question types, at which difficulty level, are costing them points. It provides the detailed blueprint that the architect craves. Another great option for the architect is simply subscribing to the LSAT Law Hub Advantage program, which gives you access to nearly 100 official, timed prep tests. An architect could pair this vast library of tests with more targeted resources, like the PowerScore Bibles or the LSAT Trainer book. They use the Law Hub tests as their diagnostic tool, and then dive into the books to fix the specific problems the tests reveal. This self-guided approach gives the architect the ultimate sense of control and purpose-driven study. Finally, for the architect with a larger budget, a private tutor can be a game changer. A good tutor essentially acts as a master architect for your study plan. They will administer the diagnostic, analyze the results with you, and create a completely bespoke curriculum designed to attack your specific weaknesses. They provide the context and the big picture view, while also guiding you through the necessary foundational work. Now, you might be listening to this and the previous part and thinking, well, I see a bit of myself in both the bricklayer and the architect. And you're probably right. Most people are not 100% one or the other. They are hybrids. And frankly, the most effective study plan for almost anyone is a hybrid approach. It looks something like this. You begin like an architect taking one full-time diagnostic test. You don't obsess over the score, you just use it to get the lay of the land and see the big picture. Then you switch into bricklayer mode. You put the full tests aside for a while and you work through a structured curriculum, either from a course or a book. You build your foundation skill by skill, concept by concept. You learn the right way to diagram logic games, the right way to identify logical flaws, the right way to attack reading comprehension passages. Once that foundation is solid, you shift back into architect mode. You start taking full practice tests regularly, using the results of each one to guide your review and your drills for the following week. This hybrid model gives you the best of both worlds. The context and motivation of the top-down approach, combined with the rigor and structure of the bottom-up method. Understanding your learning style, whether you're a bricklayer, an architect, or a hybrid, is the first major step in choosing the right path. But it's not the only variable. So far, we've talked about the how of your learning process. But what about the what? What if your problem isn't your overall approach, but a deep, persistent weakness in one specific area? What if you're scoring nearly perfect on reading comprehension and logical reasoning, but logic games make you feel like you're trying to read an alien language? This isn't a foundational issue. It's a structural one. You've built a mansion, but the entire electrical system is faulty and threatens to burn the whole thing down. What do you do then? That requires a completely different set of tools and a completely different kind of course. We're about to enter the world of the specialist. So let's talk about the specialist. The specialist course looks at your LSAT brain and says, the problem isn't that you're using the wrong hammer. The problem is that your entire foundation is cracked. A specialist doesn't hand you a toolbox. It hands you a single, all-encompassing, and often rigid philosophy. It's not about learning tips and tricks. It's about fundamentally rewiring the way you process information. It aims to demolish your old habits and rebuild your thinking from the ground up, based on a specific, proprietary system. This is the master electrician who says, forget patching the wires. We're ripping out the drywall and redoing the whole grid. This is a much more intense and frankly a much riskier approach. If the philosophy clicks with you, it can lead to astronomical score increases. If it doesn't, you might find yourself more confused than when you started. These courses are not for casual learners. They demand commitment and faith in the system. Let's look at two of the most prominent examples in this category: 7 Sage and LSAT Demon. They both have legions of devotees who swear their method is the only way, and that's a classic sign of a specialist course. First, let's talk about 7 Sage. While it has a full curriculum, its reputation was built on its revolutionary approach to logic games. This is where its specialist philosophy shines brightest. 7 Sage didn't just create video explanations. It created a method. It's called the foolproofing method, and it is as intense as it sounds. The idea is this: you don't just do a logic game, get some questions right, some wrong, and move on. No, you do the game. Then you watch the explanation. Then you put it away and come back later. You do it again, and again, and again. You repeat that same game until you can replicate the entire setup and every single inference flawlessly, from memory like a concert pianist playing a concerto. The goal isn't just to get the questions right. The goal is to achieve total mastery over the game's internal logic, to understand it so deeply that you could teach it to someone else. This is the opposite of the do more practice problems mantra. This is do the same problems until they are etched into your soul. It's a systematic, grinding, and unbelievably effective way to build an unshakable foundation for logic games. For students who follow it religiously, a perfect score on the section goes from being a distant dream to an expected outcome. The 7 Sage system for logical reasoning and reading comprehension is similarly structured and deep, demanding that you internalize its specific approach to argumentation and passage analysis. So, who is 7 Sage for? It's for the student who craves structure and is willing to put in the immense, often tedious, work required for mastery. It's for the person who believes that perfection is attainable through disciplined, repetitive practice. If you're the kind of person who likes building things brick by brick according to a detailed blueprint, 7 Sage's systematic approach will feel like coming home. It's taking the electrical system of the house and not just fixing it, but documenting every single wire, creating a perfect diagram, and ensuring it meets a standard far beyond the basic code. Now, let's turn to another giant in the specialist space: LSAT Demon. The Demon also has a powerful, overarching philosophy, but it comes from a completely different angle. Their mantra could be summarized as intuition through immersion. The core of the Demon's method is drilling. Not just any drilling, but a highly specific, adaptive drilling system that feeds you questions based on your performance. But here's the specialist twist. They tell you to never time yourself, at least not at first. They tell you to never skip a question you don't understand. Their philosophy is that speed is a byproduct of understanding, not a goal in itself. They want you to sit with a difficult question for 10, 20, even 30 minutes if you have to, until you truly understand why the right answer is right and why the wrong answers are wrong. The goal is to build an intuitive feel for the test, to do so many questions with such a deep level of analysis that your brain starts to recognize the patterns automatically. And then there are the live classes. The LSAT Demon experience is heavily centered around live Socratic method-style classes. You're not just a passive observer. You can be called on. You're expected to participate, to explain your reasoning, to defend your answer choice in front of your peers, and an instructor who will mercilessly pick apart any flaw in your logic. It's high pressure, it's interactive, and for the right kind of student, it's transformative. It's like being an apprentice to that master electrician. You're not just reading the manual. You're on the job site, and the boss is grilling you on every connection you make, forcing you to justify every single choice until a deep practical understanding is forged in the fire of that interrogation. Who is the LSAT demon for? It's for the student who learns by doing and by arguing. It's for the student who has hit a wall with traditional methods and needs to break bad habits. If you've been taking time tests over and over and your score won't budge, the demon's radical "stop timing yourself" approach might be the pattern interrupt you need. It's for people who thrive on interaction and are not afraid of being put on the spot. If you're a kinesthetic learner who needs to wrestle with the material to understand it, the demon's immersive, high-intensity environment could be a perfect fit. But here's the critical warning about all specialist courses. Their greatest strength, their unwavering specific philosophy, is also their greatest weakness. They are inherently rigid. There is a seven-sage way and a demon way to do things. If that way doesn't align with how your brain works, you are going to have a bad time. You can't really pick and choose. You have to buy into the entire system. Committing to a specialist course is like a leap of faith. You are trusting that their blueprint is the one that will build you the house of your dreams. So, how do you know if you need one? The first sign is a hard plateau. If you understand the basics, you've put in the hours, but your score is stuck in a 10-point range and hasn't moved in a month, that's not a leaky faucet. That's a sign of a systemic foundational issue. Your wiring is faulty. A generalist course might just give you more paint for the walls, but a specialist will force you to diagnose that deep, underlying problem. The second sign is your goal. If you are starting out and your goal is a 175, you might decide to bypass the generalist approach altogether. You know that a score in that range requires more than just a collection of strategies. It requires a flawless system of thinking. A specialist course is explicitly designed to build that elite-level mindset from day one. It's for the student who isn't just trying to pass inspection, but is trying to build a masterpiece of architecture that will stand for a century. Choosing a specialist is a big decision. It requires introspection. Are you someone who needs a rigid, repeatable system, or do you learn best by high-intensity immersion? Are you willing to demolish what you think you know and trust a new, demanding process? Because if you are, these courses can unlock levels of performance you might not have thought possible. But what if your problem isn't the entire electrical grid? What if the foundation is solid, the plumbing is fine, but there's just one room in the house, that one weird circular den with a vaulted ceiling, that you just cannot figure out how to furnish? You don't need to rebuild the whole house for that. You need a different kind of expert for a different kind of problem. You need a consultant. And in the world of the LSAT, that consultant is a private tutor. This is the bespoke, custom-tailored suit in a world of off-the-rack options. It's the most personalized, most targeted, and let's be honest, usually the most expensive path you can take. So, the billion-dollar question, or at least the several $1,000 question, is who actually needs a tutor? Is it a luxury, or is it a necessity? The answer is, it depends entirely on where you are in your LSAT journey. Let's break down the 4 types of students for whom tutoring isn't just a good idea. It's often a game changer. First, we have the Plateau Pathfinder. This is the student who did everything right. You bought a top-tier prep course, you did the homework, you took the practice tests, and you saw amazing progress. You shot up from a 152 to a 165. You were on top of the world. But then you stopped. For the last 6 weeks, you've scored a 165, a 166, a 165, and a soul-crushing 164. You're stuck. You're grinding away at the same problems, but your score won't budge. You feel like you're sprinting on a treadmill. The big structured course got you here, but it can't get you there. Its job was to build the house, and it did. But now you need that specialist, that consultant, to come in and figure out why the wiring in one specific room keeps shorting out. A tutor can sit down with you, look at your specific thought process on the exact question types you're missing and say, I see the problem. On sufficient assumption questions with conditional logic, you're consistently making an illegal reversal of the contrapositive. Let's fix that. That's a level of diagnostic precision a pre-recorded video or a 30-person class can never offer. Second, there's the summit seeker. This student is already scoring in the 170s. We're talking 172, 173. The air is thin up here. For you, a standard prep course is like a professional athlete being forced to sit through a high school gym class. It's too slow, too basic, and a complete waste of your time. You don't need to learn what a conditional statement is. You need to know how to dissect a convoluted three-family logic game with a bizarre circular component in under 7 minutes. You need to understand the subtle difference between a flaw of presuming a cause from a mere correlation versus ignoring a potential alternate cause. These are microscopic distinctions that separate a 173 from a 178. A top-tier tutor, someone who has not only scored in the high 170s themselves, but has successfully coached others to do the same, is your Sherpa for the final ascent of Mount Everest. They provide the specialized equipment and knowledge needed for that last treacherous push to the summit. Third, we have the foundation rebuilder. This student is, in many ways, the opposite of the summit seeker. You might have taken a full course already, or tried to self-study, but you're still stuck in the 140s or low 150s. You feel like you're drowning. Every question feels new and impossibly difficult. The problem here isn't a minor misconception. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of the test's core logic. A group class moved on to advanced concepts while you were still struggling with the basics and you got left behind. For you, a tutor acts as a personal contractor who has to go back to the very foundation of the house. They'll patiently work with you one-on-one, identifying the cracks in your understanding of conditional reasoning, causality, and formal logic. They won't move on until you've truly mastered a concept. It's a slower, more deliberate process, but it's essential for building a foundation strong enough to support a high score. And finally, we have the unique navigator. This student has circumstances that make a traditional course a poor fit. Maybe you have severe test anxiety that requires specific psychological strategies a generic course doesn't cover. Maybe you have a diagnosed learning difference like ADHD, and you need a study plan tailored to how your brain works. Or maybe you're a working parent with an unpredictable schedule that makes attending fixed classes impossible. A tutor offers maximum flexibility and adaptability. They work around your life, your needs, and your unique learning style. They create a plan for you, not for a hypothetical average student. So the benefits are clear: unparalleled personalization, hyper-efficient use of your time, and a huge dose of accountability. It's hard to skip your homework when you have to look another human in the eye and explain why you didn't do it. But let's talk about the big scary downside: the cost. Private LSAT tutoring can range from $100 an hour to upwards of $300 or $400 an hour for the most elite, in-demand coaches. A comprehensive package can easily run you $5,000 to $10,000. It's a staggering amount of money, and this is where you have to do some cold, hard math. The LSAT isn't just a test, it's a financial instrument. The difference between a 165 and a 168 might not seem like much, but at a top 50 law school, it could be the difference between paying full price and getting a $50,000 scholarship. The difference between a 170 and a 173 could mean a full ride. Suddenly, spending $5,000 on a tutor to gain those few crucial points seems less like an expense and more like the highest return investment you will ever make in your entire life. You are literally trading a few $1,000s now for tens, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in tuition savings and future earning potential later. The other major risk is finding the right tutor. A high LSAT score does not automatically make someone a good teacher. Teaching is a skill. It requires empathy, patience, and the ability to explain complex ideas in simple, different ways. A 179 scorer who can't explain how they got the right answer is useless to you. So how do you vet them? First, ask for testimonials or references. Second, ask about their teaching methodology. Do they have a structured plan, or do they just wing it? A great tutor should be able to articulate their philosophy and curriculum clearly. Third, and most importantly, almost all reputable tutors and tutoring companies offer a free or discounted consultation or trial session. Do it. See if you connect with them. Is this someone you can see yourself working with for months? Do you trust their expertise? If your gut says no, walk away. There are plenty of other options. You can find tutors through large prep companies, which often vet their instructors rigorously, or you can find independent tutors on forums or through word of mouth. The big companies offer reliability and a proven system. Independents can sometimes offer more flexibility and a lower price point. There's no single right answer, but do your due diligence. So let's bring it all together. How do you decide if this high-cost, high-reward path is for you? Ask yourself these questions. 1. Is my score stuck on a plateau I can't break through on my own? 2. Am I aiming for a T14 law school where a few extra points has a massive financial and admissions impact? 3. Have I already tried a more traditional course and found it wasn't enough? And 4. Do I have the financial resources to view this not as a cost, but as a strategic investment in my future? If you're answering yes to most of those, then seeking out a consultant, a private tutor, might be the single most effective decision you make in your entire LSAT preparation. It's the precision tool for a precision job. But what if you looked at the price tags for both the big courses and the private tutors and your wallet just started weeping? What if you have the ironclad self-discipline to work alone and the motivation to carve your own path? What if you believe that with the right books and the right resources, you can be your own general contractor and your own consultant? Well, that brings us to our next approach, the path of the determined, resourceful, and budget-conscious self-studier. So you're the architect, the engineer, and the construction crew all rolled into one. You're ready to build your LSAT score from the ground up, with your own 2 hands. This path isn't for everyone, but for the right person, it's the most empowering and cost-effective journey imaginable. The freedom is intoxicating. You set the schedule, you pick the materials, you control the pace. But with great power comes great responsibility, and the first responsibility of the self-studier is to choose the right tools. Building a skyscraper with a hammer and a handful of nails is a recipe for disaster. You need a professional toolkit. Let's break down the essential components of a world-class self-study plan. Think of this as your trip to the world's most important hardware store. First, and this is absolutely non-negotiable, you need the blueprints, the official architectural drawings. In the LSAT world, this means official LSAT prep tests released by the Law School Admission Council, or LSAC. These are the only source of real licensed LSAT questions. Everything else, every book, every course, every video is an interpretation of these tests. Using unofficial imitation questions is like a medical student trying to learn anatomy from a cartoon skeleton. You might get the general idea, but the details will be wrong, the nuances will be lost, and you'll build habits that will crumble under the pressure of the real thing. You can buy books of 10 official prep tests, or you can get access to nearly all of them through LSAC's Law Hub subscription for $99 a year. Get the subscription. It's the single best investment you will make. It is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Okay, you have the blueprints. Now you need the instruction manuals. The textbooks that teach you how to read those blueprints and how to actually build the structure. This is your core curriculum. There are 3 titans in this space, each with a different philosophy. First, you have the PowerScore Bibles. There's a Bible for logic games, one for logical reasoning, and one for reading comprehension. The PowerScore method is for the student who wants to leave no stone unturned. It is the most granular, systematic, and exhaustive approach available in book form. It breaks down every question type, every concept, into its smallest possible components and gives you a specific methodology for each. If you're the kind of person who wants to understand the machine by taking it apart piece by piece, screw by screw, until you know how every single gear turns, the Bibles are for you. The upside is immense clarity and a repeatable process for everything. The potential downside is that some people can feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information and specific techniques. Next is the LSAT Trainer by Mike Kim. If PowerScore is the meticulous engineer, the LSAT Trainer is the wise, holistic coach. Kim's approach is less about memorizing 20 different ways to diagram a conditional statement and more about developing a fundamental understanding of the LSAT's core principles. It focuses on how the test makers think and aims to build your intuition. It's elegant, efficient, and written in a very encouraging, accessible style. It's for the student who wants to understand the spirit of the test, not just the letter of the law. It's a fantastic all-in-one solution. The potential downside is that students who need the rigid, step-by-step structure for every single problem might find it a bit too high-level at times. Then there's the Manhattan Prep 5 pounds book of LSAT practice drills and their strategy guides. Think of Manhattan Prep as the classroom in a book. Their explanations are famously clear, direct, and pragmatic. They excel at taking complex ideas and making them digestible. Their strategy guides are fantastic for building your core skills, and the 5-pound book is exactly what it sounds like. A massive collection of drills, organized by type, to help you hammer home the concepts you're learning. This approach is perfect for the student who wants a straightforward, no-nonsense curriculum that feels structured and professionally designed, without the philosophical depth of the LSAT Trainer, or the microscopic detail of the Bibles. So how do you choose? Don't buy all of them. That's a classic self-studier mistake, creating a Frankenstein's monster of a study plan. Pick one core curriculum that speaks to your learning style. Are you the engineer? PowerScore. The holistic martial artist? the LSAT trainer, the pragmatic student, Manhattan Prep. Commit to one system. Now that you have your foundation in your core curriculum, let's talk about specialized tools. Sometimes you run into a specific problem that your main toolkit just can't solve. For many, that problem is the logical reasoning section. And for that, there is Ellen Cassidy's The Loophole in LSAT Logical Reasoning. This book is a game changer for many students. It offers a unique and powerful way of looking at arguments, focusing on translation and identifying the gap, or loophole, in the stimulus. If you've gone through your core curriculum and LR still isn't clicking, the loophole can be the key that unlocks it. Finally, every self-studier needs a support network and a place to get free help. This is your digital scaffolding. First, Khan Academy. It's the official online prep partner of LSAC, and it is 100% free. It gives you access to a number of official prep tests and provides drills and video explanations. It's a fantastic starting point and a great supplement. Second, the 7 Sage website and YouTube channel. While their full course costs money, they offer a massive amount of free content, including clear, easy-to-understand video explanations for almost every single logic game ever released. This is an absolutely indispensable resource for mastering games. Third, online communities, specifically the r/LSAT subreddit. This is your virtual study group. You can ask questions, share frustrations, celebrate victories, and learn from the thousands of students who have walked this path before you. It can be a lifeline when you're feeling isolated or stuck on a tough concept. Okay, you've been to the store. Your toolkit is overflowing. But a pile of tools and materials doesn't build a house. You need a plan, a schedule, a blueprint for your time. Here is the 4-phase battle plan for the successful self-studier. Phase 1, the diagnostic. Before you read a single page of a single prep book, you must take a full-time practice test from your LawHub account. This is your cold diagnostic. The score will probably be much lower than you want. That's okay. It does not matter. Its purpose is not to measure your potential. It's to give you a map of the territory. It shows you your starting point and highlights your initial strengths and weaknesses. Do not skip this step. Phase 2, foundational learning. For the next 1 to 2 months, your focus should be on learning, not on performance. Put the full-length time tests away. Your job is to work through your chosen core curriculum, PowerScore, LSAT Trainer, or Manhattan Prep page by page. Do the drills. Absorb the concepts. Don't worry about speed. Worry about understanding. You are pouring the concrete foundation and erecting the frame of the house. This needs to be done carefully and correctly, or everything you build on top of it will be unstable. Phase 3, drilling and mastery. This is where the magic happens. You've learned the theory. Now it's time for application. You'll use your LawHub prep tests to create targeted practice sets. Struggling with necessary assumption questions? Do a set of 20. Can't finish a specific type of logic game? Drill that game type over and over using 7 Sage's free videos to help you. During this phase, you must learn the single most important study technique for the LSAT, the blind review method. It's simple but brutal. After you finish a practice section, you review it. But you don't just look at the answers. For every question you flagged or got wrong, you redo the question from scratch without knowing the correct answer. You force your brain to find the path to the right answer on its own. Only after you've committed to a new answer do you check the explanation. This is the difference between passively recognizing the right answer and actively training your brain to produce it. Phase 4, endurance and refinement. In the final 1 to 2 months before your test, you transition to taking 1 or 2 full-time prep tests per week. The goal now is to build mental stamina and refine your strategy under test day conditions. You're no longer just learning concepts, you're practicing for performance. Your week should be a cycle of taking a test, doing a thorough blind review, and then using the results to guide your targeted drilling for the next few days before you repeat the cycle. This path is demanding. It requires the discipline of a monk and the organizational skills of a project manager. You are your own teacher, your own motivator, and your own harshest critic. And that brings us to the dark side of self-study, the pitfalls that can derail even the most determined student. Because knowing the path is one thing, but knowing where the traps are hidden, that's the key to survival. The first trap is the most seductive. It's the illusion of productivity. You buy the books. You highlight the chapters. You watch the free videos. You spend 8 hours in the library, surrounded by a fortress of prep materials. You feel exhausted. You feel like you've accomplished something. But here's the brutal truth. Busyness is not a substitute for progress. Reading a chapter on how to diagram a logic game is not the same as struggling through a game, getting it wrong, and painstakingly reverse engineering your own failure until the logic clicks into place. It's the difference between watching a documentary about rock climbing and actually being on the rock face, muscles screaming, fingers bleeding, searching for your next handhold. One is passive consumption, the other is active struggle. And on the LSAT, only the struggle produces growth. The self-studier is uniquely vulnerable to this trap because there's no one to call you out on it. You can spend a month reviewing concepts you already understand because it feels good, it feels productive, while avoiding the question types that make your brain ache. You are the master of your own curriculum, which means you are also the master of your own avoidance. This leads directly into the second, more insidious trap, the echo chamber of your own mistakes. When you study alone, your brain is the only teacher in the room. And if your brain has a flawed understanding of a concept, it will teach you that flawed understanding over and over and over again. Imagine you're consistently misinterpreting what a necessary assumption is. You think it's just an assumption that strengthens the argument. So you do 50 practice questions with this broken method. With each question, you're not learning how to get it right. You're digging the trench of your misunderstanding deeper. You are actively, efficiently, and diligently practicing how to be wrong. You're building a habit of error. By the time you realize something is off, that mental pathway is so well worn it's a 6-lane highway. Unlearning that is 10 times harder than learning it correctly the first time. A good prep course acts as an outside observer, a pattern interrupter. It's designed to catch those foundational misunderstandings before they become fossilized in your brain. Without that external feedback, you're flying blind in a storm, relying on an instrument panel you might have wired incorrectly from the start. Then there's the third pitfall, the paradox of the modern age. The quicksand of infinite resources. The self-studier thinks, I don't need a course, I have the entire internet. And in a way, you're right. There are thousands of blog posts, hundreds of YouTube explainers, endless forums on Reddit, and a dozen different books all claiming to have the secret. But this isn't a strength. It's a crippling weakness. It's analysis paralysis. You spend more time researching the best way to study than you do actually studying. One guru tells you to drill questions by type. Another says to only do full time sections. One book swears by one diagramming method for logic games. Another book calls that method inefficient and offers a completely different system. You're caught in a crossfire of conflicting advice. So what happens? You try a little of everything and master nothing. You become a jack of all trades and a master of none. Your study plan becomes a Frankenstein's monster of stitched-together tactics, with no coherent underlying strategy. A structured course, for all its potential faults, offers one priceless thing: a single unified philosophy. It gives you a system. It hands you a map and says, follow this. Trust the process. It frees you from the exhausting, time-consuming burden of having to invent the entire process yourself. Even if you overcome all that, you face the fourth and perhaps most formidable enemy, the motivation black hole. The LSAT is a long, lonely road. The initial wave of excitement, the fresh books, the new highlighters, the detailed study schedule, it fades. And what's left is the grind. It's a Tuesday night, you're tired from work or class, and you have to somehow summon the mental energy to tackle a 26-question reading comprehension section about the migratory patterns of Arctic terns. Your friends are going out. Netflix is calling your name. And there is absolutely no one there to make you study. There's no professor expecting you to show up to class. There's no tutor you're paying to meet with. The only person you're letting down is your future self, and future you is easy to ignore. This is where self-studiers crumble. They miss a day, then 2, then a week. The momentum is lost. The guilt sets in, which makes it even harder to start again. Plateaus are another killer. You'll be stuck at a 162 for 3 straight weeks, and the doubt will start to creep in. Maybe I'm just not smart enough. Maybe this isn't for me. Without a community of fellow sufferers or a coach to remind you that plateaus are a normal part of the process, that voice of doubt can become a roar. It can become the reason you give up. Finally, we arrive at the fifth and most subtle trap: the failure to correctly diagnose your own weaknesses. This is the difference between a patient telling a doctor my stomach hurts and the doctor using an MRI to find the root cause. As a self-studier, you are your own doctor. You might finish a practice test and see that you got a lot of logic games questions wrong. Your self-diagnosis? I'm bad at logic games. So you spend the next 2 weeks drilling nothing but games. But what if the real problem wasn't the games themselves? What if the real problem was that you read the rules too quickly and you keep missing key inferences? Or maybe your timing is off because you spend too much time on the first 2 easy games and have to rush the last 2 hard ones. The symptom is a low score on the section, but the disease is a flawed approach to timing or a lack of attention to detail. A self-studier almost always focuses on the symptom. You'll drill the question types you get wrong, but you'll never fix the underlying bad habit that's causing you to get them wrong in the first place. This is where the diagnostic power of a great instructor or a well-designed course is invaluable. They don't just see what you got wrong, they have the experience to see why you got it wrong. They can pinpoint the flaw in your process, the crack in your foundation that's threatening the whole structure. And fixing that one foundational flaw is worth more than drilling 100 practice problems. So when you lay it all out, the path of the self-studier is not a simple, cost-effective alternative. It is a tightrope walk over a canyon, performed without a safety net. It requires a level of discipline, self-awareness, and strategic insight that, frankly, most people don't have when they're just starting out. It's possible, yes, but it is fraught with peril. These pitfalls, the illusion of progress, the echo chamber of error, the overwhelm of resources, the collapse of motivation, and the inability to self-diagnose, are not just minor inconveniences. They are score killers. They are the primary reasons why so many brilliant, capable people try to conquer the LSAT on their own, and end up with a score that doesn't reflect their true potential. They didn't fail because they weren't smart enough. They failed because they didn't have a guide to help them navigate the minefield. So if going it alone is this risky, what does the alternative actually look like? How do you find that guide? This brings us to the core of our journey, breaking down the world of commercial prep courses. It's like walking into a supermarket for the first time. But every single item is in a plain silver can. There are thousands of them lining endless aisles. Some are expensive, some are cheap. Some promise a gourmet meal, others just the basics. But from the outside, they all look the same. That's the LSAT prep market. You have dozens of companies all shouting from the rooftops that they have the secret sauce, the magic bullet, the guaranteed path to a 170 plus. They flash score increases, testimonials from smiling students, and sleek futuristic dashboards. And you're left standing in the middle of the aisle, paralyzed by choice, terrified of picking the wrong can. So let's cut through the noise. The single most important truth you need to understand is this. There is no single best LSAT prep course. Anyone who tells you that is trying to sell you something, not help you. The only question that matters is, what is the best LSAT prep course for me? The answer isn't found by comparing features lists or looking for the fanciest marketing. It's found by looking in the mirror. It's about understanding your own psychology, your learning style, your discipline, your budget, and your specific goals. To do that, we're going to define 4 main archetypes of LSAT students. Find yourself in one of these descriptions and you'll find your path. First, we have the disciplined self-starter. This is you if you're internally motivated. You don't need a teacher looking over your shoulder to make you study. In fact, you might even prefer the freedom to set your own pace. You're comfortable learning from pre-recorded videos and written explanations. What you crave isn't a live classroom, but a massive library of resources and a smart system to guide you through it. For this archetype, the world of on-demand, subscription-based courses is your kingdom. Companies like 7 Sage and LSAT Demon have built empires on this model. Their core offering is a library of every LSAT question ever released, paired with a video explanation for nearly every single one. Their real power, though, lies in their analytics. They track every question you get right or wrong, how long it took you, and use that data to feed you targeted drills. You can build problem sets focused on, say, just principle-strengthened questions from the last 5 years. It's a data-driven approach that allows a disciplined student to diagnose their own weaknesses and attack them with surgical precision. The trade-off? You're the CEO of your own prep. There are no scheduled classes, no one to call you out if you skip a week. It requires a high degree of personal accountability. If that sounds like you, the on-demand model offers unparalleled flexibility and depth at a very reasonable price point. Next up, we have the accountability seeker. This is the student who thrives on structure. You know that if left to your own devices, life will get in the way. You need a schedule. You need deadlines. You need a human instructor you can ask questions to in real time. You learn best in a communal environment, hearing other students' questions and participating in a live discussion. For you, the on-demand library feels less like a kingdom and more like a lonely, intimidating wilderness. This is where live online courses shine. Companies like Blueprint, Kaplan, or Princeton Review have perfected this format. You sign up for a course that meets, for example, every Tuesday and Thursday night for 3 hours. A real live instructor is there on camera, teaching a curriculum from start to finish. You have homework, you have a syllabus, you have classmates. This structure is the key. It forces you to keep up and builds momentum. The best instructors in these courses are masters of engagement, making a 3-hour online class feel dynamic and collaborative. The downside is a lack of flexibility. If you have a chaotic work schedule or get sick, you might miss a class. They're also significantly more expensive than the on-demand options. But for the accountability seeker, that higher price is an investment in the very structure that ensures they'll actually see it through to the end. Our third archetype is the plateau breaker. This isn't a beginner. The plateau breaker is already scoring well, maybe in the mid to high 160s, but they're stuck. They've hit a ceiling, and no matter how many practice tests they take, they can't seem to punch through to that elite 170+ tier. For this student, a standard comprehensive prep course is a waste of time and money. You already know the basics of conditional logic. You don't need to spend 6 hours relearning it. Your problem isn't a lack of general knowledge. It's a handful of deep-seated, fossilized bad habits or blind spots that you can't even see yourself. This is the prime candidate for high-level private tutoring or specialized, advanced courses. A great tutor doesn't just reteach the material. They act as a diagnostic expert. They watch you solve problems, listen to your reasoning, and identify the subtle flaws in your process. Maybe you're consistently misinterpreting a certain kind of question stem, or you have a timing issue on a specific game type. A tutor provides personalized, targeted intervention. It's the difference between a general physician and a specialist surgeon. It is, by far, the most expensive option on a per-hour basis. But for the plateau breaker, a few $100s spent on 10 hours of elite, targeted tutoring can be infinitely more valuable than $1,000 spent on a generic course that retreads ground you've already covered. Finally, we have the budget-conscious builder. This student is smart, motivated, and hardworking, but simply doesn't have $1,000 or $2,000 to drop on a premium course. The good news is you don't have to. The LSAT is not a test you can buy your way into. For this archetype, the strategy is about being resourceful and leveraging the most cost-effective tools on the market. The absolute starting point is Law Hub. For about $100 a year, you get access to the official digital interface in nearly every practice test ever released. This is non-negotiable for everyone, but it's the foundation for the budget-conscious student. From there, you can layer on the completely free, high-quality curriculum from Khan Academy, which was developed in partnership with LSAC. Then, you can supplement with a lower-cost subscription service that offers explanations like the basic tiers of some of the on-demand companies. The key here is to accept that you're becoming the general contractor for your own prep. You have to actively seek out and assemble the different pieces, whereas a more expensive course delivers them all in one integrated package. It takes more work, more planning, and more self-analysis, but it is absolutely possible to build an elite score on a shoestring budget if you are willing to put in the effort. So, the disciplined self-starter, the accountability seeker, the plateau breaker, and the budget-conscious builder. These aren't rigid boxes, but they are powerful lenses through which to view this decision. Before you ever look at a single company's website, you have to decide which of these archetypes, or which blend of them, best describes you. Because at the end of the day, all these companies are working with the same raw material. Officially licensed LSAT questions. The difference isn't the what, it's the how. It's the teaching philosophy, the analytics engine, the support system, and the delivery method they build around those questions. It's their operating system, and you need to choose the operating system that is built for the way your brain works. Once you've identified your archetype and the category of prep that suits you, on-demand, live online, tutoring, or a self-assembled kit, the next step is to evaluate the specific players within that category. How do you tell the difference between a great on-demand platform and a mediocre one? What are the non-negotiable features every live online course must have? What are the red flags to watch for when hiring a tutor? Let's break it down, starting with on-demand platforms. The difference between a great one and a mediocre one is the difference between a high-tech personal trainer and a dusty old workout VHS tape. A great platform isn't just a library of videos. It's an interactive ecosystem. The first thing to look for is the quality of the core instruction. Are the video lessons taught by a single, dynamic 99th percentile instructor who can hold your attention for hours? Or is it a disjointed collection of clips from a dozen different people with varying teaching styles? Cohesion is critical. Look for high production value, clear audio, crisp graphics, and a presentation that feels modern and engaging. not like a recorded PowerPoint from 2008. Next, and this is non-negotiable, is the question bank. A great platform has every single official LSAT question ever released, licensed directly from LSAC. They will have thousands upon thousands of them, easily sortable by question type, difficulty, and section. But just having the questions isn't enough. The magic is in the analytics. A world-class on-demand course is a diagnostic tool. After you take a practice test, it should do more than just give you a score. It should break down your performance with surgical precision. It should tell you, you're missing 80% of sufficient assumption questions, specifically those that involve conditional logic, and you're spending an average of 35 seconds too long on them. That level of detail is a game changer. It transforms your studying from a random guessing game into a targeted, efficient assault on your weaknesses. A mediocre platform just gives you a raw score and maybe a list of wrong answers. A great one gives you a roadmap. Finally, look at the user experience and support. Is the interface clean, fast, and intuitive? Or is it clunky and frustrating to navigate? You'll be spending hundreds of hours on this platform. It should be a pleasant place to be. And even though it's on demand, is there any human support? The best platforms have active student forums, email support from expert instructors, or even virtual office hours. They understand that self-study doesn't have to mean studying alone. A mediocre course just takes your money and leaves you with a password. A great course invests in your success. Now let's talk about live online courses. If you've decided this is your path, what are the absolute must-haves? First and foremost, the instructor. This is the entire value proposition. The instructor must be a 99th percentile scorer, who is also an exceptional teacher. These two things are not the same. Someone can be a genius at the LSAT, but completely incapable of explaining their thought process to someone else. So, how do you vet them? Ask the company for your specific instructor's credentials. Look for reviews that mention instructors by name. See if they offer a free introductory class so you can witness their teaching style firsthand. Do not sign up for a course without knowing exactly who will be teaching you. Second, the curriculum and class structure. A great live online course has a meticulously planned syllabus that logically builds concepts upon one another. It should feel comprehensive, not rushed. And critically, what is the class size? A class with 100 students is a webinar, not a classroom. You won't get personal attention. Look for courses that cap their class sizes, ideally at 20 students or fewer. This ensures you can ask questions and actually interact with the instructor and your peers. This leads to the third non-negotiable: engagement. Is the class just a one-way lecture? Or does the instructor use interactive tools like polls, breakout rooms for group work, and a digital whiteboard to diagram problems in real time? Engagement is what prevents you from zoning out. It's what makes the learning stick. And finally, resources and support outside of class. Every single session must be recorded and made available to you almost immediately. Life happens. You might miss a class or just need to review a tough concept. Access to recordings is essential. Beyond that, what is your access to the instructor between sessions? Can you email them questions? Do they hold office hours? A great live online program extends its support beyond the scheduled class time. They know that your questions don't always arise conveniently between 7 and 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. This brings us to the most personal option: private tutoring. This can be the most effective form of prep, but it's also the most expensive and the one with the least oversight. So spotting the red flags is crucial to protecting your investment. The first and biggest red flag is a tutor with no proven track record. If they can't provide you with testimonials from past students, data on score improvements, or a clear, structured methodology they use, run. A great tutor is a professional with a system, not just someone who did well on the test once. The second red flag is a one-size-fits-all approach. If, during your initial consultation, the tutor launches into a generic pitch without asking you detailed questions about your struggles, your goals, and your previous study habits, they're not a tutor. They're a salesperson. The entire point of tutoring is personalization. A fantastic tutor's first few sessions are almost entirely diagnostic. They are obsessed with understanding precisely how your brain works and where it's going wrong. If they just plan to walk you through a generic textbook, you can do that yourself for a fraction of the cost. Red flag number 3: a lack of professionalism. This seems obvious, but people get so desperate for help they overlook it. Are they consistently late for sessions? Do they reschedule frequently? Do they seem unprepared, as if they're seeing the problems you sent them for the first time during your paid session? This is a professional service. You should expect professional conduct. Their time is valuable, but so is yours. The fourth red flag is subtle but critical. The inability to explain a concept in multiple ways. Anyone who scored a 175 can tell you the right answer. A great tutor can explain why it's the right answer from 3 different angles until one of them clicks for you. If you ask why, and their only response is a variation of because that's the rule, or you just have to see it, they lack the teaching skill necessary for high-level instruction. They have the knowledge, but they can't transfer it. And the final red flag: unrealistic guarantees. Work with me and I guarantee you a 170. No one can ethically or honestly make that promise. The LSAT is a complex exam, and a student's outcome depends on dozens of factors, including their own effort and aptitude. A great tutor will speak in terms of potential, process, and personalized goals. They'll be confident in their ability to help you maximize your score, whatever that may be, but they won't sell you a fantasy. So where does this leave us? After everything we've covered, learning styles, budgets, timelines, and the nitty-gritty details of each prep option, what is the ultimate takeaway? It's this. The question is not, what is the best LSAT prep course? The real question is, what is the best LSAT prep course for me? There is no universal answer. No magic bullet brand that works for everyone. The perfect course for the self-motivated introvert with a tight budget is a disaster for the student who needs accountability and thrives on social interaction. You have now done the hardest part. You've engaged in the self-reflection required to understand what you truly need. You know your learning style, your budget, your timeline, and your weak points. You are no longer just a consumer looking at a list of brand names. You are an informed architect of your own study plan. You now have the framework to critically evaluate any course, any platform, any tutor that comes your way. You can look past the slick marketing and the score increase guarantees and ask the tough questions. Does this align with how I learn? Does this provide the structure I need? Does this respect my budget and my time? This decision feels monumental because it is. It's one of the first major investments you'll make in your legal career. But it's not a decision to be feared. It's a decision to be empowered by. The work you've done just by watching this, by thinking through these questions, has already put you miles ahead of the person who just Googles best LSAT course and clicks the first link. Your journey to law school doesn't start when you get your acceptance letter. It doesn't start on test day. Starts right now with this choice. Don't just pick a course. Choose a system. Choose a partner. Choose the tool that you, with your unique brain and your unique circumstances, can use to unlock the absolute best score you are capable of achieving. Go build your future.